Today we're going to be making a gardener's hand soap, which is a cold process recipe, meaning we're going to use lye and oils and blend them together to make a hard bar of soap. What makes this a gardener hand soap recipe is that it has a lot of natural ingredients. So it has sage essential oil, it has flower petals, and then it has lots of like little scrubby bits so that if you come in from gardening and your hands are dirty, dirt under your nails, those are going to help really clean your skin without drying it out. So we're going to use chia seeds. I would recommend and just get ones that you can eat so you can use them in your kitchen too for eating. And then we're going to use pumice stone. It's really finely ground pumice stone. You would not want to eat that, but it's going to exfoliate your skin really well. So this is a really nice gift if you want to make it and give it as a Mother's Day gift. This is a very nice gift for somebody who enjoys gardening. It's really no harder when you're making soap to take a couple things and just mix them in. It just takes a second, but it really makes your homemade bars of soap feel that much more special. So let's go ahead and get started. We start by measuring out the water and the lye in separate containers. We're going to measure out 3.62 ounces of lye and 8 ounces of water. And the reason we want to measure these out separately is because we are going to make sure that we add the lye to the water, never the other way around. Always remember the saying snow floats on the lake, and that will help you remember how to mix these in order. Then you just take a butter knife and mix everything thoroughly until all those lye crystals dissolve. You're going to feel that this solution shoots way up in temperature. That is totally normal. It's just part of the chemical reaction between lye and water. And once you have everything mixed, you're going to set this aside to cool. When it's cool and ready to use, it will go from cloudy to clear, and that's how you know it's ready. But meanwhile, it's time for us to measure out our oils. So the best practice when you're measuring oils for soap making is to measure everything out into separate containers and then take all of those measured oils and butters and combine them into one large pot to melt. I kind of take the lazy shortcut, which is getting a pot and zeroing it out in between all of my oils. You just have to be really careful and go really slow because obviously if you over pour something like olive oil, it's really hard to take it out. So you have to go slow if you're going to do this. And like I said, you really shouldn't. You should measure everything separately. But it's 9 ounces of coconut oil, 10 ounces of olive oil, 2 ounces of castor oil, 4 ounces of shea butter, 1 ounce of beeswax. Now for the beeswax, make sure you don't buy a big block of beeswax. It is very difficult to work with. You're going to have to hack at it sort of with a sharp knife. And if you just buy these little pellets like I have here, you can pour them out really easily and get the exact measurement a lot faster than you can with a block. It's also going to melt a lot faster. And I will link for you in the description box all of the ingredients that I used in this. And I'll also put the full measurements and the full recipe so you can work off of there. So once everything's measured, we're going to put this on low heat and just melt it until everything is melted. It takes a while, longer than some soap recipes, because we have a lot of butters, we have the beeswax, and those just take a little bit of time to melt. Eventually it'll happen though, and then you're going to set everything aside to cool. Now we pour the lye water into the melted oils. Make sure everything before this point has cooled to about 120, 110 degrees. And you want everything ready to go. Your essential oil, your mix-ins, and your soap mold. And we're stick blending to trace. If you have made soap before, you're already familiar with the term trace. If you are new to soap making, this will be a brand new term to you. All that it means is that you've blended your soap batter enough and that it's not thin and oily looking anymore. It thickens up slightly, and when you lift up your stick blender, it leaves a little bit of a trail that rests on top of the batter. So if you think of something pure liquid like chicken broth, that is how your batter is going to look at first. But as you blend, it will start to thicken. You don't want it to get as thick as pudding. That means you've gone a little bit too far, but you can still work with it. But what you want it to be is somewhere in between where it has just that really light trace and your stick blender leaves a really light mark in the batter. Once you've gotten to trace, you do want to stop stick blending. So we're going to add more things into this, but we're going to do it by hand because if we just keep stick blending, it keeps thickening up and eventually you can end up with just a pot with a solid bar in it, and we definitely don't want that. So for our mix-ins, we're just going to use a spatula and mix by hand. The great thing about mix-ins in soap is that they're flexible and it's not part of the chemical reaction of the bar. So if there's one that you don't like and you want to leave out or substitute something else, it's totally fine. But I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. These are really exfoliating and they're pretty in the bar once you cut it. 2 tablespoons of ground pumice, which you can't see, but it is very scrubby on your hands and really gets dirt off from the garden. And then for fragrance, I'm going to add clary sage essential oil. Now, essential oil, you can't just go throwing any old essential oil into your soap. If you want to substitute this, you'll need to do a little bit of your own research. What you want to look up is safe usage of essential oil. So if you wanted to use like spearmint essential oil, you would look up spearmint essential oil in soap and see how many tablespoons you can add safely per pound of oils. And then as long as it's safe, you can go ahead and add whatever you would like. You can also add a color to this. All of that is up to you. So I'm just using a 10-inch mold. You could do this in individual molds, but it just makes it easier to put the flower petals on top if it's in a loaf mold. We're gonna pour all of this in, and it will fit perfectly in a 10-inch mold. I like to have a little extra bar mold just in case I have any overflow, but I did not in this case. It all went in. Smooth out the top, and then these calendula flowers is what we are going to sprinkle on top. Make sure the batter is still wet while you do this so that they will stick. And then as the soap cures, it'll kind of grab onto those and they will stay. You won't have to be overly fussy about not having them fall off. The soap will kind of like grab onto them. They'll stay right on. We're going to unmold this after 24 hours. It will unmold relatively easily because it is so hard with all of those butters and the beeswax. Don't let it go longer than 24 hours. 2 days, it's going to be really hard to cut, but after a day, you're ready to go. So a sharp knife, we're going to cut this into 10 1-inch bars. You can see inside that these chia seeds have made it really cute, very natural looking. And then it's gonna cure for about another 2 weeks. And after that, it will be ready to use. It does make a beautiful gift. And that's it. So as always, I will put the full recipe in the description box. If you look right below this video, you'll see the description, the full recipe is there. And I will also link to the blog post that goes with the video. And that's where you could head over to my website and print it out if you would like to have a printed copy. So if you have any questions, please do let me know. But this is a very straightforward recipe. Just like any other cold process soap, all we're doing is adding a few little mix-ins. So I hope you enjoy. Bye.